Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Lead Up for Women, Speak Up to Lead Up. I am so excited to be back today. We have been in 3-day event mode for months now, and I can't believe today I was finishing up the final touches on this amazing workbook that we're putting together that we're sending in print to all of our VIPs, and I was just blown away by the thought of, oh my gosh, today is 3 weeks. I was just like, whoa, I can't believe we've become this close. And we started planning this in January, and here we are just 3 weeks away. It's a dream of mine come true. If you've not yet gotten a ticket, we have the link below. We would love for you to join us. This is a 3-day business conference, my friends. This is everything I've learned over the last 20 years that I'm bringing forward to you to teach you of how to meet you where you're at in the map of your world so that you can look to see how you can gain the momentum you need to scale your business, to grow your revenue, whatever it may be that you need. And talking about growing your revenue and scaling your business, I have someone with me today, Miss Patty Farmer. She is our guest for today. And I love Patty Farmer because she just has become this very quick, dear friend of mine. I don't even know how it happened, but we met. We started talking over Zoom, and before you know it, we're just like, let's schedule another call. Let's schedule another call. We saw each other this morning and we said, let's schedule another call. And somehow our emails were getting lost in between, but the universe always brings us back to the people we need to have in our path. And today we're going to be talking with Patty all about how to leverage the media. This is the media queen, y'all, right here. Miss Patty Farmer, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I love our conversations when they're just us. And I just know this is going to be a great conversation with the audience too, right?
It is. Absolutely. It is. And, sometimes on our shows, we have 2 guests. Sometimes we have 1 guest. But, if someone shows up late ever to my podcast, I just continue with the guests that I have. And today everything always works out the way it needs to. And to have Patty Farmer with us today is a treat. Let me just say that, a treat for all of you. You're going to learn so much today that you never knew about media. I just learned so much in 10 minutes speaking to her about media that I never knew. Like when I say she's the queen, she's like, how Oprah's the queen of daytime television at one point? That's Patty. When it comes to marketing, media strategy, she's the one. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She's an award-winning marketing and media strategist, international speaker, podcast host, which I've been on, an amazing podcast. You guys want to download that one. Magazine publisher and 7-figure event producer. As a global influencer and thought leader, she works with CEOs, entrepreneurs, and speakers who are experts in their field to help them fully identify their expertise. I think I want to touch on that today. Attract and convert their ideal buyer, so no tire kickers, gain massive visibility, package their knowledge, and position them in the marketplace to leverage the media and create marketing strategies that are profitable, not painful. Let's just stop right there. Whenever anyone says the word marketing, do you not cringe? Was that something way back, think, Patty, when someone would say marketing, did you ever cringe a little like, that marketing word, it's that damn M word. What do I do with marketing? Everyone seems to feel very shrink when they hear marketing, like it's this big, massive stuff I have to do. It's painful, but you're saying it's not painful. Not when you package it the right way.
Well, it's not painful. And, it's really kind of funny, but I'm from Las Vegas. I live in Dallas, but I'm from Las Vegas. And I can remember clear back when I was in college. And, if anybody knows anything about Las Vegas, is all the billboards, right? And I remember that I saw this billboard and it was for Snapple juice, right? I don't even know if they're around anymore, but it was for Snapple. And basically, it was so great for Las Vegas. And their billboard said, because we all know you have to have juice. Yeah. And it was so funny. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so true. And I love the way they tied that together. And in that moment, I knew that's what I was meant to do. Right then and there, I loved it. And for all of my career and everything I've done, I've been in banking, I owned a mortgage company, but even with that, you had to market yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And so for me, it always became around marketing. And it was my favorite thing to do. I live and breathe it.
Yeah, Absolutely. So don't you believe, Patty, that every single one of us, that I hear this a lot with women, oh, I hate sales. I'm like, well, if you own your own business, you're the like sales queen. You have to be the one selling you, because if you're not selling you, who else is selling you? But sales doesn't have to be a squirmy word, right? So how does marketing, packaging us, right? How does marketing really help each one of us create that impact that we want to create in the world, like get our name out there?
Well, I think that one of the things that I always like to say is, because people read so much about marketing, right? They think that marketing is really about putting out information. And the reality is, we're not in the information business. Google's in the information business. We're in the transformation business, right? So that's, so that's something totally different, right? And so when I think about it, I always like to tell everybody a couple things. Like, yes, there's marketing. And if you're doing your own marketing, a couple things you got to remember. One, don't read your own press. Because a lot of times people read their own press, it's like, that's marketing, right? And they get all caught up in that. So you got to not do it. And the second thing is, it is all about knowing how to position yourself in the marketplace. And what I see way too often is more people posturing than positioning, right? And you have to be able to really know how to position yourself and not just posture.
That's interesting. So talk to me a little bit about the difference on those two. I'm learning from you right now, Patty. I'm just digging deep because I need to learn. So talk about how do we make the mistake of posturing? What does that mean versus position?
Well, I really feel like posturing is when we think we need to show up because somebody else is doing it this way, this guru or this person, and we look at them and we think, oh my gosh, I want to be just like them. They have what I want, or we think they do. They're living the life I want to have, and so I'm just going to be just like them. So we posture like them. But what I like to say all the time is, we do look at people that we want to have the life they have, right? Of course, a lot of times what happens is in marketing is that they want to have it, but they're just not willing to do the work to get it, right? But here's the thing I think that's really important. If there are people, and there should be for everybody, right? We have those people that we look at, we love what they stand for, it aligns with our beliefs and it aligns with our values. But here's the key for you really honestly to position yourself. It's don't do what they do. Think like they think. There's a huge difference in that. You don't do what they do. You haven't walked in their footsteps. It's not your story. It's not your journey, right? So you don't do what they do, but you think like they think. That is where the magic happens, right? And this is how you can position yourself in the marketplace correctly, right? Because you really do need to know how to promote yourself, right? And you need to know how to get paid, right? Which is pretty much my secret sauce, right? There's a reason my magazine and my podcast is called Marketing, Media, and Money, right? Although I have to tell you, I have had people say to me, well, Patty, are you all about the money? I said, no, contrary to what people think, what I'm really about is joy and feeding your soul. But here's the key. There are things we do that feed our soul. It doesn't matter if we ever make a dime. However, if you don't know how to market correctly, right, then what happens is when you're doing revenue generating activities, you don't do them efficiently. And if you can do them efficiently or hire someone to do them for you so you can focus on what you want to do, then what happens is when you do more revenue generating things efficiently, it frees you up to do more things that feed your soul. And we all got into business so that we can feed our soul, do those things that we wanted to do. And that's how you actually can balance it and be in the marketplace positioned correctly, because people are looking at what you're doing and what you're saying. Like if you're saying, like I do, I tell people, I help you design the lifestyle you want to live and then help you to build a business that'll support that lifestyle, not the other way around, right? Now, if I'm saying that all the time and that's my mission, right, that's my passion, I'm sure people are looking at me and saying, well, what kind of lifestyle is my brand and how I'm showing up aligning with what I'm saying or not? Because here's the thing, when we talk about lifestyle is a big word. A lot of times people want to be all about the lifestyle, but here's the thing, not everybody wants the same lifestyle. Your lifestyle of what you want is could be to get off every day at 3 o'clock so you can pick your kids up from school and go to all their extracurricular activities. For some, it could be having a boat and a big house and taking 10 vacations a year. And for most others, it's somewhere in between, right? But whatever that is for you, you still have the things that you want to do, right? That align with who you are at your core. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, for me, when I heard you talking about the revenue generating tasks along with the tasks that feed our soul, like I love those to be aligned. And I
Right.
find that, I find that some women, when they separate, and I talk about women a lot because this is Lead Up for Women. I run a women's organization. When I find women are exhausted, it's because the revenue generating tasks that they're doing are exhausting them because it's not feeding their soul at all. And
Correct.
so they burn out so quickly on the revenue generating tasks to go back to the things that feed their soul. Find a way to combine those things. What I do every day in Lead Up for Women and doing this interview with you, this revenue generating task that I'm doing right now feeds my soul because I get to talk to my friends. I get to spotlight you. I get to put you out in the media. I get to share you with my community. And at the same time, I get to generate revenue from that. So how can you combine those things so that you're creating revenue for the things you love to do and not separating those so much with like a line in between where so many women get burnt out?
So I have this exercise that I do that I teach to my clients. And basically, to give you the visual for it, right? So for me, I love the beach. Like everything about the beach works for me. And so I have this visual that I keep up. And basically, it's this beautiful table. I mean, beautiful, beautiful table that sits on a beach. And so you picture this in mind. Every time an opportunity comes to the table, right, it needs to fit into one of the chairs. So what happens here is we don't know how to make decisions. Like we can't make a decision. We get all caught up in analyzing all these reasons why we think we should say yes. I mean, really the answer is yes, no, or not now. I mean, that's the answer. Yes, no, not now. And the quicker you can choose and make a decision, the better it is, because here's how it works. I always like to tell everybody that in my life and everybody that I work with is this: you weren't born a winner. You weren't born a loser. You were born a chooser. And you need to know how to choose wisely, right? So here it is. So you have this table, an opportunity comes to the table. So I'll give you an example. I think your example is going to be a lot like my example. So one of the chairs for me is speaking. Is it a media opportunity of some type, right? For a magazine, do some type of media, podcast, speaking. One of them, is it something that's about my products? Is this opportunity about products that I sell? One of my chairs is about services. Is it about a service that I provide? And one of my chairs is about things that feed my soul and have nothing whatsoever to do with generating revenue. So when that opportunity comes to the table, I don't need to sit here and think about it, do all these kind of things, put myself through all this stuff so I don't get nothing else done because I'm spending all my time thinking, oh my gosh, should I do that? As soon as the opportunity comes to the table, I look at it. I look at the opportunity. Does it fit in one of those chairs? Or even better, if it fits in more than one, right? Even if it's the feed my soul, like which chair? If it doesn't fit in one of those chairs in less than 5 minutes, I can make a decision. Yes, no, not now, right? And then I move on. But I can't even tell you how much women especially get caught up in the minutia. And I know that you serve women. My marketing company is a marketing company for women. We specialize in working with women. So I get it. And we can really get caught up in the minutia of not making a decision and just going on and on. Or worse, when we can't make a decision, we go out and ask other people for help and their opinion about making our decision. And we don't ask the right people. We ask our friends, we ask our friends and we ask peers, or like people who are not the people who really have the information. Like ask your coach, right? Or ask your mentor. Right. But you're not going to go call your dad up or, my best friend for 40 years, I love her, but she's a cocktail waitress in Las Vegas. I don't call her for business decisions. Right. I call her to share and say, oh, guess what? Right. But I wouldn't ask her to help me make a decision about something in my business. Right. Not that there's anything wrong with being a cocktail waitress, but she just doesn't really know about my business. I also don't ask my husband either. I ask my husband things about certain things, but I don't ask my husband to make business decisions. My husband is an aviation engineer. What does he know about my business? Right. Other than what he hears me say. So I think it's really important to know where you should go for information, right? That's why coaches have coaches and a multitude of them. I mean, I usually have at least 2 and sometimes 3, depending upon what I'm working on in my business, right? So I think it is really important to know where to get your information, make sure that you are positioning yourself in the marketplace correctly, and you monetize everything you do. If it's not something you're doing just to feed your soul, you need to monetize it, because that's the thing. My clients, they'll tell me, oh, Patty, I got this great idea. And they know the very next thing I'm going to say is, so how are we going to monetize that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
I think you said a couple of really important pieces that I want to hammer in, anchor in, if you will, which is know what seats at the table you need to fill, right? Know what seats. So when an opportunity comes, you can measure it directly right up to the opportunity so that you're not on the fence. Here's the biggest problem we run into. We sit on the fence, and the fastest path to wealth is speed. We all know that. And then you make those decisions slowly later of maybe correcting along the way, but you've got to make the quick decision. And if you don't know what you want because you have no idea what seats are sitting at the table, that's the first problem. You need to identify what those seats are, just as Patty just talked about. Once you've identified those seats, when a decision comes, make the decision quickly. It's a yes or a no or a maybe later, right? You just need to know now what's the decision. And then be careful who you're talking to and getting advice from. And I'm gonna say, just like you, if any female right now is operating a business without a mentor, coach, sponsor, somebody, so those are very different people. If you're not operating with one of those 3, you need to go find you one and figure out which one fits you best. I couldn't imagine for the last 20 years with all the businesses that I've opened, them not having someone to guide them along the way like I did. Look at the differences in the clients that have come to you that you've been able to guide in marketing. That's an area that I don't feel very strong in. And the areas that we don't feel that we have the strengths in, those are the people we need to lean on the most, because that's their area of expertise.
Well, I think that really, honestly, we all have our secret sauce. We all have our brilliance, right? And so for me, I think the key really for massive growth in your business is to work in your brilliance and hire other people to work in theirs. That's the name of the game. Stop licking your own envelopes, like I say, and hire somebody. I have been in the marketing and media space for a very long time. And I'm a business coach too, but I only coach. People say, oh, can I hire you as my business coach? I'm like, if you need marketing too. So it's kind of like you get a twofer. You hire me for marketing and you get a business coach. I coach as a verb. And so I really feel like it is important for people to know. And, in those conversations, like, oh, I got my marketing hat on. Oh, I have my coaching hat on. Right. But I think it is so, so important for me. I don't know what I would do with the coaches that I have hired. And I have to tell you, I have never hired a coach myself, never, that didn't 10X my business. Yeah. It just never happened. But a lot of that is because I didn't just go, I know better because I'm in marketing. Not to say you should beat yourself up if you didn't, you're not in marketing. But for me, because I know how to do market research, right? And I know how to look at what somebody's doing and take away market speak, right? And really be able to know, like, okay, who do I really want to mentor me? Who do I really want to coach me and can help me to get where I want to go, right? And not only that, but can I be coachable with them? Like, I'm very coachable, but one time, I have to tell you, I had a coach once, and I have to say it was a man, and it wasn't because he was a man, but the way he would talk to me, he was so condescending that I had to hire another coach to walk me off the wall, how upset I was. And finally, I was like, why am I paying for this? This is ridiculous. He was brilliant, but his personality and how he did it, he wasn't from the United States. Not that that is a big deal too, but in this case, it just didn't. And I finally just had to tell myself, you know what, this just doesn't serve me. And you have to do the things that serve you. So I always say, listen to your heart, trust your gut though, right? This is business, and you can't make decisions for your business based on something that you see on social. Like, you just can't do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel that many people are led by what you talked about earlier, which was the posturing versus the positioning, because we're paying attention to what other people are doing too much, right? I love the collaboration versus the competition.
For sure.
And when you focus inside, when you focus on what your secret sauce is, and you focus on what it is that you do really, really well, and that's the area that you want to illuminate, then you can find the people like Patty and her company who can help you with the marketing strategy for that, right? I'm in the middle of building a new website. I wasn't going to do that myself. That wasn't something that I have no idea. I have tried to guide people on websites in the past. I've gotten what I've gotten, right? This was hey, I need you to tell me the best way to build this website.
And you know what the thing is there? Here's the biggest thing that I've learned, because I know I just went through a website experience myself.
You did?
Oh, yes. So my website's new as well. And I have to tell you, here's the thing that I learned. Like, we always are learning, right? We're always learning. Here's the thing that I learned was that I needed for me to have somebody who would do my website that was also an entrepreneur, not a website company that just put together websites. Because what would happen is I would say, they'd say, well, what do you want? And I'd say, oh, I want this and this and this. And then it was so clunky and it just didn't work. And the reason why is now, this last time when I hired someone who was an entrepreneur, they would say to me, well, what is it that you want it to do? Mm-hmm. And then when I'd say, oh, well, this is what I want to do, they're like, oh, there's a plugin for that. Like, we could do this and we could do that. And so the reality is, sometimes we don't know what questions to ask. So we need to hire somebody who is going to ask us the questions that they need to know to get us the result that we want to have. And so you have to be really clear about that, right? And so I think it is really, really important. And that's why I really care about having your marketing be profitable, not painful, because a lot of times I have heard horror story after horror story of people who have hired people in marketing. They haven't got the results. And a lot of that is because of the communication. They didn't know how to tell them what they need. They just said, oh, I like this and this that other people are doing, right? But they didn't have the tools. They, weren't where they were. They didn't have the money, right? Because the bottom line, really honestly, is people are talking about, oh, where should I invest? Well, really, you should invest in you. That's your number one investment, should be investing in you. Because if there's anything that I'm going to say, and if this is the only thing you hear that I say on this podcast, is this: you cannot ask somebody else to invest in you if you don't invest in you. And I have to tell you, somebody told me one time they were going to hire me, and they said, are you ready for this? This is so funny. They said to me, they were referred to me. So I gave them all this time. We did all this stuff. And then they said to me, so Patty, here's what I want you to do. I want to hire you. They've never been on a stage before. I want to hire you for you to get me on stages. And I want to be making $25,000 fee. They've never spoke before. And this is what they wanted. And I said, okay. And I said, after we went through a couple of things, I said, so what's your marketing budget? She says, about $500. So they thought they should pay me $500 to take them to the place where they could get a $25,000 fee. So it was a teaching moment, right? And I said, so what is your average amount of money that you make to your clients, right? What is your average amount? And she said, about $5,000. So I thought that was funny that she thought she should charge $5,000 but pay me $500, but I digress. So I said to her, oh, have you ever written a check for $5,000? She's like, never. And I said, herein lies the problem, right? I mean, the problem here right now is that you don't want to invest in you, but yet you're inauthentically going out there and inviting other people to invest in you. It just isn't in alignment and it doesn't work.
Mm-mm. No, that's a good lesson to learn, because you got to walk the walk and talk the talk, right? And I would never ask anyone to invest in themselves, or to even work with me one-on-one if I wasn't willing to spend twice that to work with someone else and invest in knowing what it has done for my business. And I think that was, the one thing I just remember going along, in all my years in the past, Patty, you kind of brought that up, which was, I wanted to be in the trenches, with my clients. I needed to make sure that they didn't think they were just a number to me or just another person I was working with to help them build this business, but it was very individualized about their situation, what was happening with, their area, what their timeline looked like for building this business. So, what their family looked like, what their goals were, why they were doing the business, the whole why behind it. And it's very important for us to know that. So for any of you listening today that are still struggling to even know what your why is, just stop doing everything you're doing and pause and figure that out. Really focus in on, why are you doing all of this? What is the true passion that drives you behind? Why are you doing what you do, Patty? What is your true why behind what you do?
So, two things for me. My biggest why for sure is time freedom and travel. Like, those are the two things that really I love. Is I really care, love, and covet, and really, really cherish my time freedom. It's very, very important to me. Now, nobody's going to get there in a day, but for me, I don't work with clients on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. People are like, do you have 4 days off? I'm like, no, I didn't say that. But what I have learned is that on Mondays is prep day, right? It's prep day. And then I have a time that I devote to my business, right? Because your number one client is always you. I want to kind of divert for 1 second, say, if the first thing you do every day when you start your day is go look at your inbox, that's another mistake you're making, because your inbox is everybody else's agenda for your day, not yours. You ought to know what you're going to do first before you ever open your inbox. But then you have to know, what is that? I take clients on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and those are pretty full days for me. Long days, full days. Friday is Patty Day. That's the day that I fill after I've served for 3 days at like 10, 11 hours those days. I refill my cup on Friday, have lunch with my friends, get my nails done, have a massage, whatever. And I do that so that on the weekends I can be with my family and show up 100%. Right. And so I value that time. Now, as a speaker, sometimes I'm out of town Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and there's exceptions to the rule, of course, but I didn't get there in 1 day. I still probably work, 30, 35, 40 hours a week, but the way that I do it is very set up that it fits me, which is another thing that I think that people should know. When you're thinking about generating revenue activities, know when the time in your day is for you to be the most creative. For me, I get up every day at 5, and I know when I'm the most creative. And in those hours are when I do revenue generating activities. In the afternoon for me, when I'm done with those, that's when I do relationship building activities or admin, right? That's when I do that, because now I could be sitting on my couch with my puppy in my lap, right? Just focusing on building relationships and how can I serve. Right? If I was reversing those, and there was a time when I used to love to start my day with that because it would ramp me up. But the reality is that in the afternoon, I was trying to do client work when I was the most tired. So for somebody else, that could be a different time, right? Some people do their best work in the middle of the night, whatever that is for you. But just know when that time is for you. And then you have to have boundaries. And this is what I call stepping into being a CEO. Nobody owns your inbox. Nobody owns your calendar. None of those things. You have to have boundaries to be successful. You need to step into being a CEO.
Yeah, absolutely. And being a CEO is creating that schedule and then holding tight to those boundaries. I created a Colleen Day, which is Friday. It's so funny that you have a Friday is Patty Day, because that's my self-care day. It's blocked off, which means no one externally can book anything on my calendar. Therefore, I control that day. If I want to have a meeting with someone on that day, I choose to do so in the morning. Usually that's the day that I do go get my nails done, or I'll have a massage, or sometimes I'll get my nails done with my mother-in-law on Saturday. But I love that you say you take care of you so that you can pour yourself into your family, because so many women go, 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 go. They put themselves aside, their health aside, their self-care aside. And then when I say you need to be taking care of yourself, they switch the pendulum fully to the other side. Then they ignore everything in their business. And they're like, but I'm doing what you said I should do.
Well, I think that there's a way that we can do it, right? There is a way that you can do it, but you do have to take care of yourself. I mean, you really, really do, so that you can fill that cup, because you can't serve other people if your cup isn't full, right? And not only that, but I think if you want to have a 6 and 7 figure business, I have to tell you, here is the role you have to be. You have to be the visionary of your business. You can't hire somebody to be the visionary. You can hire people in their brilliance to do the things and to implement the things. You are the visionary. It is kind of hard to be a visionary if you're tired all the time because you're spending all your time because you don't want to hire a VA, or you don't have a coach, or you're trying to think up stuff yourself, and then you're spending hours trying to figure it out. And here's kind of another tip too. A lot of times people like to look at what people charge by the hour. I never ever do that, right? For me, if I know that this is something that I want to have done and I'm talking to somebody, if they tell me, oh, I charge $150 an hour, and I know that somebody else could do it for $75 an hour, here's what my question. My question is, what is the value to me to not have to do that task? And if it's something I really don't like to do, like, to be honest, like, I have the magazine. Early on, I said, I do not want to be the editor. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to hire the best editor so I can feel so good knowing that they're doing that job. My job is to market the magazine, to leverage the magazine, to have strategy to help the people that not only write for the magazine, but to make sure I show up and we serve the people who read the magazine. Yeah. Nowhere in there did it say that I should be the one deciding if that should be a comma or a semicolon, right? I mean,
I have the same. I have an editor, I have a publisher. I don't touch any of that. No, because that's not my strength. And for me to sit and go through, I did not go to school to be an English teacher, or, to sit and do all the grammatical checks. It's not, I'll do a once read through for my last thumbs up that they'll have me do, to make sure everything's correct. And that's just to make sure things are where they need to flow, or what I had mentioned to them that I wanted through passing and emails. But essentially, it is up to my editor and my publisher to take care of all of that. There's no way I could put that on my plate.
So how we were talking about leveraging the media, right? Here's one of the things that I do. So I have someone that I hired that their job is to promote my podcast and to promote my magazine. Meaning, I come up with all the strategy, I do all that, and then I tell them, and I'm not the one scheduling it to go out at X amount of time. I don't even know how to do it, to be totally honest. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people will ask me something, I'm like, I don't know, I hire somebody to do it. You should too. Like, that's not what I should be doing, right? So when I do that, one of the things that I do that I love to do, because they wouldn't know, right? I ask people to write for me. I know them. I know their strengths. I know what they're about. I love them. They wouldn't be writing for me if I didn't, right? And so when I get the articles back from the editor, this is my fun part. I just take my little highlighter on the computer, not handwriting, and I just go through and pick out all kinds of super cool statements that they said and things. And then when I send it to my social media person to promote, I'm like, I highlighted all the top things I want us to be talking about on social, because they may not pick the same things. I know what those things are. And I'm like, here, make all these click to tweets, make these all links for people. I mean, I just tell them what to do. I wouldn't know how to create those things. That's right. Not my strength. And to tell you the truth, sometimes you actually can like to do something and you still shouldn't do it. For example, I love going into Canva and creating. I love it so much. It's so fun. but I can't do it and get in and get out, man. It is a rabbit hole for me. And so I have learned early on that I approve and write and stuff like that, but it's just not where I should be spending my time unless I'm playing on the weekend just because I want to for fun or on Patty Day. But the reality is, by the time I have spent 4 hours doing that because it was just so fun, add up what your hourly rate is, right? And then was there valuable to your business? So you can still like to do something, because a lot of times people say, oh, you should only outsource the things you don't like and the things you're not good at. That's step one. Yeah. That's what you should do. But then you should also outsource the things that maybe you do still like to do. Doesn't mean you can't never do them, you know, but really maybe it's not what you should do, because the bottom line is there are people out there that are praying, literally praying for you to show up because they need you. Mm-hmm. And while you're playing around in Canva or wherever you are, you could be out there serving them. So you really need to know, we almost have a responsibility, really. When we show up and people see us and we're out there, you know, positioning ourselves in the marketplace and doing all those things, we have a responsibility to be able to show up. And I think that is really, really important. And I take that responsibility seriously, which is why probably the greatest compliment I have ever received over and over and over again is that when people meet me in person, they're like, oh my gosh, Patty, you're just like you are on your podcast, just like I see you when I'm on stage, just like when you're on a summit. Man, that is just so you. I'm like, I don't know how to be anything else. This is me.
Taken. Everyone's taken. So I don't know why anyone's trying to be anyone else, because they're all
right. Like, be you. And that was probably the biggest thing I learned when I became a speaker, really, is I thought I had to be eloquent and wear soap opera dresses, right? Wear soap opera dresses and all the stuff. Cause I thought that's what, you know, all the big speakers were doing and stuff. And it just wasn't me. And I tried so hard. Like, I tried so hard that for 18 months, when I became a speaker, every time before I got on the stage, I threw up violently for 18 months, but I just knew that's what I was going to do. And I just did. And then I said, you know what? Hire someone. I don't know why that took me 18 months. Hire someone. So I hired someone. She had me perform for her. She had me send over stuff. She had me send her recordings. And here's what she said. Patty, I can tell you right now, you don't even have to really hire me for any amount of time. I'll tell you the problem right now. The problem is you're trying to be something you're not, and you're speaking to the wrong people. And I said, well, what do you mean? She says, well, stop trying to make yourself be this eloquent person who, I mean, I'm not saying I don't have class. I'm just saying that I'm not eloquent, and wear this soap opera dress, and instead speak to people who need to hear it the way you say it. And then once I got that in my head and then said, you know what, when I get on the stage, it isn't even about me. It's about them. It's not about me. And the minute she said that and I got that, I never got sick again. Like, it changed my life and my business forever. And I have to tell you, I became a 6-figure speaker in the first month that I was a speaker. Wow. So getting clear on that. So, man, we have blocks, and believe me, other people can like shift those for you. Like, get out of your own way.
That's another tip of leveraging your strength and your power for you to market yourself, is just being you. I mean, we've said it 1,000 times over. I mean, my business, one of my business LLCs is called Be You, Be Strong, right?
I like that.
I wear bracelets that say it. I have it in my signature, Be You, Be Strong. You have no one else to be but yourself. And so many women are trying so hard and are exhausted at the end of the day because they're throwing their energy and they're just trying to almost like be bigger than what they need to be.
That's because they're thinking that they need to be that. When the reality is you're not trying to reinvent ice cream. You're just making your own flavor. Man, there are people who love butter pecan and Rocky Road. And guess what? There are millions of people out there that still like chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, right? You need to just be you, who you are. And I think that is something that is very hard, and people don't really realize it. And that's why it is hard for them to really get their marketing. I'm going to tell you, if I had $1 for every person who came to me and said, you know what, Patty, here's what I'm doing. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, and I'm making $50,000 a year. And I'm working, 80 hours a week for myself. What is wrong? And then I will look at all that, and in my mind, I'm thinking, my gosh, you're like sitting on $1 million or millions of dollars. And they're like, I am. And I'm like, yes. And then I come in and show them, oh, we're going to shift this and we're going to do this. And we work together. And all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, Patty, because if that's not your strength, why are you doing it? There's no shame in hiring somebody else. Believe me, that's a strength. Don't let anybody shame you for that or think that you should be doing those things yourself. The sooner you're not doing them yourself, so this way you can be of service to the people who need you and your gift and your brilliance.
Yeah.
You know, I have to tell you, I know the things. I could sit here and list all the things that I don't do well. I mean, I got to tell you, I mean, I'll be vulnerable. I even have a VA who sends out all my emails because I don't even know how to go in the back end of my system to do it. I do know how to do it, but I mean, it takes me 5 times as long because I don't want to do it. That's what I just send her a thing and say, here, could you send this out to blah, blah, blah. And this is what I want to say and whatever. And people's like, really, you don't do that? Sometimes I don't even do the things that when I'm helping my clients, I'll tell you, here's what we need to do, yada, yada, yada. And they're like, oh, well, could you do that for me? No. And they're like, you can't? I'm like, no, because I have somebody who I hire to do that. Mm-hmm. Right? I have a whole team and we can get it done for you if we need to. But the reality really is I don't even take clients anymore if they don't have a VA.
Yeah. It's the truth. You know, I can tell you honestly from my heart, every single person I've hired that has helped me along the way, I've never had to pay for them. They've always paid for themselves. And I mean that by when you hire someone, don't get caught up in how much they are per hour. Don't get caught up, focus on if they're taking that 20 hours off my plate and doing, what can I do that's a revenue generating?
Oh my gosh, you just nailed it so much, Colleen. I always tell people, if you're asking the question, how much does it cost? That's the wrong question. Yeah. The right question is to say, what is the value that this is going to bring to me? And what are the results that I can expect to receive if I make this investment? Yeah. Right? That is the right question. What it's going to cost. That is never a question that I ever asked. You know, I mean, this last year I made the biggest investment in myself I ever did. I mean, I know that, you know, I am working on building a hotel on the Las Vegas Strip. So obviously I wasn't going to pay for that myself, obviously. Right. So there were some investors and I needed to know how to investor speak, right? I need to know, how do you do an investor deck? Now I know how to do a presentation deck, but how do you do an investor deck? Right. I mean, I paid over 6 figures to hire Damon John from Shark Tank because he does that. And he told me he could, and he paid for himself multiple times over doing that. Would I have hired him just to have a coach? No, but he had an area of expertise that I needed. Right. So I always like to say, you know, when people's like, well, Patty, what should I hire you for? Well, you should hire me if your marketing is painful, if you do not know how to leverage the media, and if you don't know how to monetize. Like if you're doing things and if they're not making you money, like you need somebody to show you how you can monetize that. I know what things that I don't do and who I hire. And I have a whole lot of people that I pay every single month that help me do what I need to do so that I can serve the people that I serve.
Absolutely. Well, let's start telling everyone how they can reach you. What do you have for our listeners today? How can they get a hold of Patty Farmer? How can they start following you on social media? Talk to us all about where you're seen, how they can reach you. How do we contact you?
So the easiest way is to go to my new website, pattyfarmer.com. And there you'll find everything. You'll find the magazine, you'll find the podcast, you'll find everything, all my socials. So you can just go to that one place and find me everywhere. But like a good guest, I always come bearing gifts, right? I always love to come bearing gifts, right? So here's the thing I'm going to say. I think people a lot of times don't know where to start. So I created an assessment. Like if you never speak to me, but if you take this assessment in 3 minutes, you're going to know all the things you're doing right. You're like, this is where I'm excelling. Here's where maybe you should tweak a little. And here's steps you need to take to have massive growth. Doesn't cost anything. It will actually help you a lot. And to get to that, they can just go to M3, which stands for Marketing, Meaning, Money, M3 Biz Quiz. So M3bizquiz.com. And that will actually take you to that assessment. And I really, honestly, you're going to feel so good about yourself when you get to read that and say, oh, because sometimes we beat ourselves up and we don't really realize, oh, these are all things I got right. I'm doing really, really good. So I think that's important. And then the other thing If they love a copy of the magazine, Marketing Media Money, they can just go to marketingmediamoney.com and get that. No, and just marketingmediamoney.com. And they can just grab the free magazine there as well. And I think though that resource and knowing about where they are will really, really help them. And that's probably the best thing I could do to serve and support them today.
Agreed. Thank you so much, Patty. All those links are below, whether you're watching us on our video and following us on our Facebook page at Lead Up for Women or listening to us without the video. All of the links are below. So take advantage of the freebies. You know, I always say, especially when we're new in business, you have more time than money. So take the time to snag the free opportunities. And this is a great quiz for you to take to know where you're at and what you need to do next. And if we're not taking inventory of that along the way, then you're going down the wrong path. You always are. I mean, we always need to know where we're at and check ourselves. So we talked a lot about how to leverage ourselves in the media today. But I think one of the biggest pieces that we can pull today that is the easiest for all of us to do is just love yourself and be you. Try to stop being somebody you're not, because we'll love you exactly the way you are. And that's the biggest fear that gets in our way, is wondering, are we worthy? Am I enough if I'm just me? And the answer to that is absolutely yes, you are. So Patty, thank you for being with us today. And I just want to remind all of you, you can find everything at leadupforwomen.com. And I'm going to leave you with this. You are the only you that has ever been. You are the only you that will ever be. So how you pioneer your path and your future, it's up to you. So be you and be strong until the next time we see you. Goodbye, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your week.